Roswitha secretly opened one eye with a shy expression and looked at Leon. From the moment Leon took her hand, she could distinctly feel the difference between his hand and hers. She silently evaluated in her heart. Leon has calluses and small scars on his hands that have been holding swords for years. It is slightly rough but very warm. There seems to be an electric current spreading from the place where the 10 fingers touch each other. Leon's hand is on top, and Roswitha's hand is below. He tightly grasped her slender hand with his slightly rough hand, as if to protect her. Leon seemed to be worried that his hand wasn't holding steady, so he gently exerted force and clenched it a bit. Roswitha felt the warmth emanating from him, but at the same time, she could also sense a strange sensation. This feeling made her heart beat faster. Since she was not talking to Leon at this moment, she could hear her heartbeat very clearly. The feeling of this heartbeat left her at a loss. She wanted to suppress her emotions, but didn't expect her heart to beat faster and faster. She turned her head to the side, afraid to continue looking at Leon. She pursed her lips and once again blushed. Although she didn't want to admit her feelings towards him, her physical reaction had already revealed her current mood. At this moment, the moon had already crossed the mountains and slowly ascended into the sky. The moonlight shone into the room through the open window. It secretly observed the interaction between Leon and Roswitha. Leon remembered the standards mentioned by Roswitha in the video. He is very curious about this. By the way, the mate selection criteria you mentioned in the video just now. Before Leon could finish speaking, Roswitha understood what he wanted to ask. She immediately interrupted him and replied, "Fake. This matter has been over 100 years. Don't take it seriously." Leon felt somewhat skeptical about this answer. "Oh, what are your current standards?" "I don't have any standards now." Since Roswitha answered like this, Leon didn't continue to pursue further. They stopped chatting and closed their eyes together, preparing to enter a sleep state. The whole room was quiet, with no sound at all. However, as time passed, they still did not feel sleepy. Although Leon asked Roswitha to hold her hand and let her sleep peacefully, he didn't know why this gesture of holding hands made him unable to sleep either. He furrowed his brow slightly, and a blush slowly spread on his face. Due to not wanting to disturb Roswitha, Leon could only shout inwardly, "I can't sleep at all." He clasped his hands to his face and opened his mouth to scream. The discomfort of not being able to sleep made his head increasingly uncomfortable. His head is very clear, and there is no sign of him entering a state of sleep. It was getting to the point where he couldn't stand the feeling of not being able to sleep. Is she asleep? Leon secretly opened one eye and looked at Roswitha beside him, wanting to confirm her current situation. At this moment, Roswitha closed her eyes and had a calm expression, as if there was no sign of waking up. As the minutes ticked by, Leon increasingly felt uncomfortable in the hand he was holding onto Roswitha. However, he couldn't immediately put down her hand. After all, this is a way to make her sleep peacefully. He silently thought in his heart. Keeping the same movement, my fingers are getting numb. It should be okay if I secretly move my fingers, right? So, he quietly let go of her hand and carefully flexed his stiff fingers. Roswitha immediately noticed Leon's hands moving around casually. Leon's movements made her hands feel itchy. She thought he was going to do something sneaky again when she wasn't looking. She closed her eyes tightly and furrowed her brow slightly. Feeling unhappy, she silently thought, "He just needs to hold my hand. Why are he groping around?" She opened her eyes and stared at Leon. She was dissatisfied with his actions. She looked at him with an angry expression and cursed in her heart. A prisoner dares to touch his master casually. However, Leon closed his eyes and had a calm expression, as if he had fallen asleep. He didn't notice the strange gaze from her. Roswitha couldn't stand Leon constantly moving her hand. She decided to launch a counterattack against him. "All right, I touch you too." She quickly grasped his hand with great force and groped around very casually. The middle of the blanket bulged due to her movements, and there was also a sound of hands rubbing against the blanket. It seems that she is engaged in a very intense battle with Leon. Leon suddenly felt Roswitha's hand moving incessantly. This gave him goosebumps all over his body. He closed his eyes tightly and felt the discomfort in his hands. "What's happened? Why is Roswitha's hand constantly touching me?" Leon was puzzled by Roswitha's behavior, but he dared not stop her. He didn't know why she suddenly did this to him. He tried to avoid her attack and distance himself from her. However, Roswitha has been fighting back against him, not giving him a chance to escape. Due to their constant touching of each other's hands and unwillingness to let go, it resulted in them both pulling and tugging at each other's hands. Then, their shoulders accidentally touched each other. They don't want to open their eyes and see what's happening now. During this process, Leon's back of his hand also touched Roswitha's thigh. Although he only lightly touched her, he could clearly feel her body temperature. This made his body unusually strange. Her body is very soft. The area where my skin touches hers feels itchy. Roswitha's feelings at this moment are similar to Leon's. Due to the excessive range of motion of Roswitha just now, she and Leon got closer. Her shoulders were tightly pressed against his, which made her emotions start to get excited again. She could feel something slowly eroding her thoughts. "My mood is so strange. The feeling of hunger is growing wildly in my heart." Leon silently swallowed his saliva. He seemed unusually excited about this situation. A thought quietly emerged in his mind. "I want..." Roswitha's ears gradually turned red. It seems that an idea has also emerged in her mind. "I want... I really want to do something more." Leon and Roswitha took their hands out of the blanket. They turned their heads and stared at each other. Their faces also flushed. They can all feel their heart beating faster. Their body temperatures gradually rose from touching each other. Their warm breath wrapped around them, making their inner desires even stronger. At this moment, they all have a common idea. Although they didn't say a word, they seemed to have understood each other's true thoughts. They nodded at each other indicating permission for each other to take action. Leon directly lifted the blanket covering them. Then, he knelt on the bed, maintaining the same posture as he had just held Roswitha's hand. He pounced on her and pressed her under him. Roswitha did not refuse Leon's somewhat rude actions. She straightened her waist slightly and moved her body, adjusting to a comfortable position to lie down. They silently said in their hearts, "Only for tonight." Then, Leon slowly approached Roswitha. His nose touched that of her. Roswitha looked at Leon with affectionate eyes, as if hoping that he would do something to her soon. The ambiguous atmosphere surrounds them.
Hi! Pineapple has a good news to tell you. My app LoloBun can now be downloaded on the App Store and Google Play. You can search for LoloBun Light Novel in the search bar to find the app. After downloading the app, you can read our exclusive novels and comics more easily on your mobile phone. If you are interested, you can download LoloBun from the App Store and Google Play.